Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the City of Stockton Civil Service Equal Employment Commission meeting. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and can we get a roll call?
Yes. Commissioner Lima?
Here.
Commissioner Singh?
Here.
Commissioner Vigil?
Here.
Vice Chair Sanchez?
Here.
Chair Sloan?
Here.
Thank you.
At this time, we will take public comment for those comments that are related to the closed session items. Are there any comments to be heard? Very well. Then I would like to announce that we will go in closed session to address the closed session items. And so we will recess to closed session.
The Commission is adjourning into closed session regarding action items 3.1 through and including 3.7. There are no facts or circumstances to disclose at this time. Thank you.
Sit in this chair until everybody gets past me because it's a killer. Ooh, that's a long way down.
Careful.
Don't lean the wrong way. I would now like to call the regular session to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Lima?
Present.
Commissioner Singh?
Here.
Commissioner Vigil?
Here.
Vice Chair Sanchez?
Here.
Chair Sloan?
Here. Can we please get a report? Oh, wait a minute. Before we do that, we need to do the pledge to the flag. And Mr. Singh, could you please lead us?
Can you excuse me for that?
Huh?
Don't remember it, please. I'm going to forget about it. I don't want to fumble.
Oh, okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we will have a report out of the action taken in closed session.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, the Commission has reconvened from closed session regarding action items 3.1 through and including 3.7. All the Commissioners are present during the entirety of the closed session. Reportable action is as follows. Regarding action items 3.1 through and including 3.4, by unanimous vote of the Commissioners present, the Commission adopted the respective resolutions certifying the respective eligibility lists. Regarding action items 3.5 through and including 3.7, by unanimous vote of the Commissioners present, the Commissioner approved removal of the names from the respective eligibility list. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We are now at citizens' comments and announcements. I have a couple of comment cards. You do have 3 minutes to make your comments, and we'll start out with Jerry Good. He goes, oh no, not me first.
I wanted to go second, honestly.
You've been here
but
before,
but
yes.
That's fine, yes. I was just here last month. And since then, we still haven't had this item put on the agenda. We still think it is. We've received a response from Human Resources that it's more of a compensation issue than it is a classification issue, but we disagree with that. And we're still asking that it is a classification issue. Even if it is ultimately ends up a compensation issue, the thing that's most important to us is the classification issue. And I'll give you an example. Like we have a 25-year municipality employee that was a senior electrician and then became, per this agreement in this binder that I handed out last month, a senior instrumentation repair tech, and then became, when it was formally classified in titles at electrical technician 2, was a lead level position. You know, what we put forth to you is he didn't bid down. It wasn't a lessening of, it was actually a combining of job duties and responsibilities and additional responsibilities. So through a 25-year career, he's been working in this lead position, and I don't have to refer back to that, but in 6, you know, it specifically says this is a lead level class. And we don't know how. We've been performing these duties on a daily basis as the lead. All these functions, all this language in 6 comes straight out of that classification that is all right out of all senior classes. Journey level classes don't even have this kind of characteristics and job duties. But anyway, I'm just here to ask again that it be placed on the agenda as a classification issue, because that is what's truly most important to all of us. Compensation, if it ultimately ended up there, is a different story. That's not what we're asking. We're not asking this, and if it got to the point that you even concurred with us on the classification issue, we know that this is not your purview, a compensation issue. We were not even asking anything to do with that. What we're strictly asking you to do is look at the classification and either concur or deny our position that is a lead level position. That's it. It's simple. And that's all I have to say. Any questions? Whatever.
Okay, thank you. Want to speak?
Is anybody else?
Is Michael Eggener? Did I say that right? And I apologize if I...
You did perfect, perfect.
All right, thank you.
My name is Michael Eggener. I'm with Operating Engineers Local 3. And as Mr. Good said, he did submit a binder to you, and we respectfully disagree with the director on her response to our request to have this on the agenda. The idea of this being a compensation thing, everything that the commission does ultimately could result in some type of compensation for somebody somewhere, somehow, or a loss of it. So we feel that it does fit your area to review, but also under the civil service rules, under number 10, you do have the right to investigate issues that involve employee morale and welfare. So we're asking that 2, 3 of you maybe will think about this as you reviewed our documents and ask to have it on the agenda, to, if not for the classification or compensation side of it, the welfare and morale of it. Because as you can see, the 3 main gentlemen that it affects here, you have long-time employees. It's affecting their morale and their welfare. And that's one of the duties that you guys are charged with as a commission. So we respectfully disagree with the director, and we would ask that someone somehow put it on the agenda for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak? Okay. I want to thank you for coming today because we understand. We hear what you're saying. However, as the way I have been explained to legally, and the attorney here can go into a little bit further, it is really not our authority, and that we would recommend that you have continue your communication with the HR department, human resources, and perhaps the bargaining units. And with that, I'm going to ask Dan if he has anything else for further clarification on it.
Certainly. One of the things that we first look for is if there's a dispute, where is the appeal? You have very specific procedures set forth in your rules for the timing and when an appeal must be filed. When the appeal of a decision is filed, it spells out what the contentions is so we can determine, 1, whether you have jurisdiction, and 2, what the process is. I listened to the comments from the last meeting, and I listened again today, and there's a disagreement on a position on something between the city and one of the bargaining units. That, assuming you have jurisdiction, would be something that would have to be submitted by way of a complaint, an appeal, and I have seen none.
Okay. Very well. Okay, we will now move on to the adoption of a consent calendar. Are there any items that anyone would like to pull for further discussion? If not, I'll accept a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved. I second it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Abstention? Very well. Next item is unfinished business. We do not have anything listed for today. And then, so we move on to a request for an appeal or public hearing. There is a request for a public hearing to amend the Rule 7, Section 3, 5, 8, and 10 of the Civil Service Rules and Regulations for police and fire employees regarding certification and appointment by the police and fire departments. Do we have a staff? Any comments from the staff?
At this time, Chair, this is just the request for public hearing, so we are requesting that this be placed on next month's agenda and then we will provide the larger staff report at that time. We do have a copy in here with our request of what our rule change is that we are requesting, and we have met with both of the impacted bargaining groups and received approval on this change. So at this time, it's just the request for the public hearing that we will do next
Just want
month.
to be sure that, in case you had something else.
Thank you.
Okay, I would take a motion to approve a public hearing for our next meeting on request, on Rule 7, Section 3, 5, 8, and 10 of the Civil Service Rules and Regulations for Police and Fire Employees regarding certification and appointment of the Police and Fire Department.
I motion that we approve 11-1 to put on the next agenda.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone oppose? Abstention? Very good. Our next area is appeals and public hearings, and we do not have a hearing or a public hearing or appeal scheduled for today. So it leads us right into new business, and we have the annual equal employment report from the police department. Is there a representative here today?
We do. We have two.
I thought that was you, but I wanted to be sure. Do you have any comments or anything you would like to share with us regarding your report?
No, we're just available for any questions that you may have regarding the report. I'm Lieutenant Dorbanek with the Professional Standards Section, and this is Lieutenant Rodney Rigo with the Personnel Section.
The question I have on recruitment, I know it's an ongoing thing almost daily, and how's it looking? Are we beginning to meet the numbers that we're trying to reach, and how far off are we at this today, as of today?
So as of today, we hired 9 more officer positions, 3 sworn police officers. They were sworn in today, and then 6 trainees. They'll be going to the academy in the near future. That brings our current staffing of sworn officers to 427. Now, our current authorized strength is 485. And we have a number that are still in the background process. Their backgrounds have been completed, but they're pending medical examination approvals. We are moving forward. We expect to hire 80 new officers this fiscal year, which is consistent with the previous 2 fiscal years. We hired 79 and 81 respectively. So our hiring is on track, and retention is the issue that we're still working to overcome.
Okay. Are there any other comments for
I do. Yes, that's wonderful that you're hiring. That's good. So all those things that that are on the ballot that you're hiring, are they on WorkNet? Are they in Delta College, or are you recruiting from those area personnel when you new cadets?
We have a number of different hiring strategies, recruiting strategies. We have 23 recruiters. They're a very diverse team of the different underrepresented groups within our community. We attended 111 recruiting events this last year alone. What we are looking to really improve is the local hiring, improving our connection with members in the community that may not recognize that law enforcement really is a career path that could be something successful for them. So we're looking at strengthening our relationship with NAACP, El Concilio, APSARA, creating more local events that will draw in recruits or applicants that they've identified within our community as prospective police officers. One of the things that doesn't often get talked about is the challenge in hiring qualified applicants. Approximately 1% of our trainee applicants are ever completely successful all the way through the program. So from the time that they apply to the time that they actually get off probation as a Stockton police officer, only about 1% of those applicants are successful. So our standards, as you probably would expect, need to be really high. There's a lot of expectations for the officers that police your community, and they need to be that way. It's important. So finding the best qualified applicants within our community and connecting with them and getting them motivated and engaged with our process and our department is really what we're moving towards. And we have some long-term plans that just began this last year with the Stockton Public Safety Academy. And that's a partnership between Stockton Unified School District, San Joaquin Delta College, the Sheriff's Office, and Highway Patrol. And that is a school. It's located at Stagg High School, but it is a 5th through 8th grade class with an additional grade added each year. So we started out with 5th through 8th grade, and eventually it'll go from 5th to high school age, with the idea that there's a law enforcement-based curriculum, criminal justice-based studies.
Almost had it.
So we won't see the benefits of that school in law enforcement for about 8 to 10 years. But creating a good foundation with students early, with a focus on character building, which is really the strongest asset of any police officer, is their character and integrity, and building that relationship early on and through our different partners. So those are some of the avenues that we're recruiting in.
Oh, great. Also, have you ever reached out to organizations for sensitivity, for anything like disabled, for any kind of, I had talked to the Stockton by Good District chief. I've got her name, but I go to their meeting and I requested for, like a sensitivity training for people, and then organization will help collaborate with people that, hey, we get awareness. Maybe one day they could become a police officer, could get an organization that collaborate with you guys. And have you ever thought of that?
So we do have a retired female officer that is part of NOBLE, which is the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, and she has started a program connecting that with our youth and geared towards that type of curriculum.
Great. Okay, thank you.
How long is the actual, I'm sorry, Shelley. How long is the actual process of when you start and finish and become a police officer? Is it 8 months? Is it?
Well, depending on, we have 4 different classifications.
Okay.
So if we were to say we start with a police trainee, there's the application. You have to meet certain minimum standards. You have to be a certain age, 20 and a half, and have a California driver's license for certain reasons. And then we have a physical agility test, a physical abilities test. And if you pass that, then there's a written test. And the written test is established by California Post, Police Officer Standards and Training. And that's a standard test that is created by Post and managed and monitored by Post. The minimum score for that test is 42. What's interesting about that test, it's not a percentage, it's not a grade. So 42 would be failing if in regular class, but it's on a bell curve, and it's an interesting, it's evaluated based off of everybody that takes that particular test on that particular day in California, and you're given a bell curve type of score. But if you pass that, you're then ranked on a list that goes before you, and that's the trainee list. Those names are forwarded from Human Resources to our background investigators. One set. So take the test. It's about 30 days before that test has been certified. Then those names are forwarded to us. We've been able to minimize the length of time that those background takes. It had been 4 to 6 months. We've gotten it down to about 8 to 10 weeks through a streamlining process. So you're probably, if you take the test and you came out really high on that test, you could get offered a job within 3 to 4 months. Then we have to send you to an academy, so finding an academy with a start date that is close to your date of hire. The academy is 6 months long, minimum 6 months long. Depending on academy, maybe 6.5 or 7. We have a 1-month orientation program where we provide training specifically for the academy graduate before they actually go out onto the streets. Then our FTO program is 6 months long. So the training from the time that they actually get hired to the time that they would actually be working by themselves without a training officer is going to be at least 13 months. And then the probationary period is 18 months from the date of hire.
Okay. Thank you. I have a little better understanding. I know it takes some time, and it's not like you get trainees tomorrow and then the next month you have officers. It just doesn't work like that. But I was just curious about the time span. Okay, Shelley?
I only wanted to make a general comment. I'm impressed with the student program that you guys have implemented, and I'm looking forward to how that's going to turn out, hoping that even if they don't become peace officers, they become stronger community members.
And
So
that
that's
is
exciting.
that is the objective behind it. It's not just to become a police officer or get into law enforcement, but to build strong character, which will help them be successful in any endeavor that they want to, and still maintain their connections here in Stockton.
That's exciting. Thank you.
I'd like to make the comment as well. Like, I think it's a very commendable job. There are like total 81 sworn officers in 2016. That's almost 7 officers on an average, like a month. And depending on the time frame which you just mentioned, that means the department is doing a great job. They're hiring people, and especially the women, just increasing it, and 2% of the increase in the total underrepresented groups. So great job. Keep it up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I promise this is my last comment. I was impressed with your strategic plan, and thank you for sharing that. I believe that was a part of the document. It's always nice to kind of see the direction that a department's trying to go, and so when you get documents like that, it's very interesting to me anyway. Okay.
One more thing. I
Yes.
think maybe somebody have noticed or not, and like I think our Stockton PD represented, they're in Oroville as well, helping the situation up there. So that is really nice of like the PD to just spare officers and send it over. So great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one question. You stated that you have 80 officers left to hire. What is your number of officers that are getting ready to retire?
I don't have those numbers, and it's difficult to predict because everyone is at a different stage in their life and they have different needs. So we can look at the number of officers that would be 50, which would be of retirement age. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to retire at 50. And what we're seeing is our medical retirements probably have a greater impact on our staffing than the actual retirements, full-term retirements. So I think maybe your question was really, what's our expected losses going to be? Is that maybe what you were really
because I
looking
figure
at?
if you're going to do 80, you need 80 new officers, and you have 10 that are going to retire.
Yes.
You're really looking at anywhere from 90 to 100 new officers
Yes.
to keep up with that recycled, that, revolving door. Yeah.
So three years ago, when we developed our hiring recruiting plan in reflection of Measure A, we looked historically what was our attrition rate, and that was about 40 officers a year. So we knew we needed to hire about 80 officers every year to net 40, which would be matching and meeting the Measure A hiring objectives.
Right.
Our attrition rate has been higher than what we had expected and what had been historically, for what we suspect to be a variety of reasons. One was pay and benefits. We were tracking that, and we recognized that pay and benefits was having a negative impact on our staffing. Officers could go to other nearby communities and get paid more money and get better benefits. The city responded, and they increased the pay and benefits, and we've seen that type of attrition slowing. What we're seeing now, the trend is officers are going back to the communities where they are from. Because Stockton was one of the first departments and cities after the Great Recession to start hiring. And we were able to we had cornered the market on police applicants. Unfortunately, almost every city in California is hiring, and the pool that we're drawing from is the same pool that everybody else is drawing from. So officers they have opportunity to go back to communities. So it's one of the things that we're looking at changing, not recruiting as far away. As our hiring matches our staffing, we won't need to hire as many officers, so we can really focus on building a department of more localized candidates that have a greater stake in our community and are less likely to leave for those family tie relations.
Yeah. And then I just want to make a comment. Back in my day in school, we had ROTC, which kind of prepped you for a law enforcement job or going into the military. And I was very pleased to hear about the law enforcement curriculum program that you guys have implemented, similar to the Medical Healthcare Academy,
Yes.
Health Career Academy, because we recognize that there's a shortage of nurses and those going into the medical field. And it's good to know that we're thinking outside the box for students that want to go into the medical field. And I was wondering, when I heard about the law enforcement curriculum at STAG, was maybe we can implement a law enforcement as well, like we did for the Health Career Academy. You know, it gives you units in advance before you graduate as a senior. You're that much closer to getting into the academy. So I was really pleased to hear that you know, the creativity and thinking outside the box was being done. So,
Thank you. The Stockton Public Safety Academy is only the third school in California to open up like that. So it is cutting edge.
yeah, good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, your report is very impressive, and I appreciate it. It's very detailed, and it was interesting to read, and like I said, I enjoyed the strategic plan. So if there are no further comments, I'll take a motion to accept the Equal Employment Report from the Police Department.
So
I'll
moved.
second it.
Wait a minute, did I get a first?
So moved.
Okay, and a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone oppose? Abstention? Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're now at item 14, which is written communications or reports, and these are informational items. And if you'll notice, this is our annual report. I hope you all had a chance to read through it, and like I said, it's mostly for informational purposes. This will be moving on to the City Council. Are there any comments that any of you would like to make? If not, it's just an informational item, and I think it pretty much says it like it is. We had a busy year last year.
Yeah, it
We
did.
really did. When you look at the different things, we had 5 rule changes, or edits, I should say, is more like the term. But as part of that goal that we had set in years past, that we wanted to continue to look, if you remember, at the rules and regulations and bringing things up to speed. And it's just a reminder, every time staff bring something like that to us, there's a meet and greet, so to speak, or meet and negotiate and talk with a lot of different labor units and department heads and all kinds of people. So there's a lot of work that goes into those. It's not something that, oh, by the way, we're making this change, because it has to go through a process. So I want to thank staff, definitely thank staff for all the work that they do on that, because I know it's very time consuming and what have you. But are there any other comments that? Okay. We are now at 15, which is board and commission communications or comments. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share?
I do. I was recently at a facility waiting for a meeting to happen, to take place, and while I'm standing outside waiting for them to open the doors, I noticed a name on a plaque that was on a wall. And I said, oh my gosh, her name is memorialized. And it happens to be our chair for our Civil Service Commission, and it's at the Impact Teen Center that was dedicated on December the 10th, 2004. And so it's nice that you have a piece of, little bit of legacy left here for us. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, go ahead.
Last month, when I went to the ceremonial, pin ceremonial after the meeting, it was wonderful. I was very intrigued, how often we don't get the chance to go see it and be part of that ceremony. And I know there's going to be another one. The fire keeps giving me information regarding on this coming Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning. There's going to be a ceremony pin-up. I'm going to be there. I always like to be involved, especially also the police. I haven't got them yet, but I definitely want to get a chance to be involved with them because I feel like I contribute with them. I like to be in part in the engagement with them too as well. So I'd like to thank all of you. That's it.
Well, if it's my turn, I apologize that I missed last two meetings because I was out of country traveling, work-related or business-related meetings. So I'm glad that I was here today because actually I'm flying out tomorrow again. So I just made it in time. Other than that, it's a privilege to be here all the time, and I enjoy it.
I just wanted to echo what Commissioner Vigil had to say about the penning ceremony. I've never attended one, and I was very impressed. I felt like that's my son walking up there, You got kind of into it, engaged into it, and it was a very exciting thing, the bagpipes, the whole 9 yards. And I wrote down about Saturday because I might show up again because I think it's really exciting when they go through that. And they go through a lot, too, just like the police academy and the training that they do. They both have extensive programs, and it's not something that's done overnight. So it was very exciting, and you could tell they were so serious on their face. It's like, yes, sir. But it was an excitement to see, and I hope we could try to attend those kind of things in the future as well. Is there anything the staff would like to share, or no?
No, thank you. You should be getting your Form 700 forms.
Yes, actually, I sent out the notice for everybody to complete their annual statement of economic interest, and it was sent using our software, NetFile software, on behalf of me. But I'll go ahead and send out reminders, and they'll be due April 3rd.
Mine is done.
I hate to say it, but I never received it.
Oh,
It was sent early January, but I can send it again, definitely.
Please do, because for some reason, I don't remember. I usually jump right on that because I don't want to wait on it. I want to get it done. So please send it to me again, so I'll make sure that gets in. I don't want to be the one that didn't turn it in. And by the way, if you don't turn it in, it's not a very pleasant experience. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
You get fined and fined. Oh, and fined some more. So you want to make sure you get it completed. Okay. Are there any other?
I have a question for you. Maybe there was an ethics training which I have to complete online. I think you sent me a reminder for that.
Certainly, you can complete that through,
I did,
believe it's,
right?
you did?
But the thing is, I'm a very fast paced sometimes, so I just cruise through that one and it says you have to spend 2 hours on there,
Yeah,
and you
it's,
completed in 1 hour 30 minutes, and then later I don't know what happened.
Yeah, and that's mandated by Assembly Bill 1234. It has to be no less than 2 hours for
So I
us to
just sit there to the last slide and let it sit there, right?
Go back and read over
Yeah.
it a couple of times.
Pension, of course.
Got it.
Okay.
We will be
Alrighty
having
then.
in April a harassment training. It is also new legislation that's come out for boards and commission members that receive remuneration, as this commission is one. So you'll be getting notification of that in April.
Is that a mandatory thing?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
And if we've had it just recently, we still do it again through the city of Stockton?
I will check into that.
One covers all. It should.
Okay.
Should. Double check.
Because our current employer requires it too.
All right.
Okay. Well, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Abstention? Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so glad you're in the country.
We give him a microphone and that's what happens.
Vacancies for, oh, that is a lot more than I expected. I thought they said 8 and then. I was like, I feel like the
All of
roster
them are
of
coming
that,
out on periods with different measures that have come up. Yeah.
oh, that's
Thank you, you too.